right, we got some news involving the Las Vegas Raiders sitting at 500, but it looks like the future could get brighter when it comes to the rest of the season because the Raiders are actually making a smart move with their biggest playmaker, at least on defense, and that's Max Crosby. We've got a report to highlight that, Mize, if you can bring it up. This is from Raiders Today. I will read from it. Talking again about Max Crosby, the two-time Pro Bowler has played over 90% of the team's defensive snaps, including 100% of defensive snaps over the Raiders' last 3 games, which, by the way, for those of you who aren't familiar, that is redonkulous. Like usually a great defensive player will play maybe 60, 70, maybe 80. To play over 90 and then 100%, unheard of. But this hasn't been by accident, as Raiders coach Josh McDaniels and his staff have made a point to limit Crosby during the week so that way he is ready to go on game days. It is something we talk a lot about, McDaniel said when he addressed the media on Monday. I would say there's an element of taking the whole week in totality and trying to figure out how we do manage the week so that we get the most bang for our buck in the game. But the reality is if you limit certain things during the course of the week so that way you get 60-some snaps out of them on game day, then that's the give and take. There might be times where we go ahead and try not to do that as much. I'd say when we have the ball as much as we did in the first half yesterday, that would be talking about Sunday, that certainly can alleviate some stress on somebody like that in terms of the snap count getting crazy early in the game. All right, so the main crux of this here is that the Raiders are essentially managing Max Crosby during the week, making sure he has very limited practice reps. By the way, this is big. You usually see this with players that are hurt or players like a quarterback, right? A guy who isn't involved with physical position, maybe a receiver. To have a lineman, certainly a defensive lineman, managing his snap count during the week, that's kind of new territory. I haven't heard a lot about that in the past. And I give the Raiders some credit here for making a really smart move because this is a guy with Crosby on the field. The Raiders defense is really good with him off the field. They're not nearly as good. They need him to play as much as possible. And they're doing everything they can to make sure that I think it's a smart decision by the Raiders coaching staff. But Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this before I hand it over to you. Raiders fans, look, here you go. You got a game against the Bears. You should win. You get above 500. Got a few other winnable games after that as you looked at later down the season. After a rough start, things are looking okay, but can't overlook Chicago. So in the comment section below, give us your prediction, final score, Raiders versus Bears, how you think the game will shake out. Let us know in the comment section below. But all right, Miles, give me your thoughts on this move by the Raiders and everything with Vegas right now as they look to build off last week's win.
Yeah, Nick, I think first of all, whatever they're doing has been working, and it's been working very well the last 3 years. Since 2021, Max Crosby has been absolutely dynamite. The last 3 years and this year included, Nick, guess what these PFF grades were? 91.7 in 2021, 90.1 in 2022, and so far this season, 91.5. And he is so balanced, 90.2 run defense grade, 90.7 pass rush grade. This guy can do it all. He is very elite at everything, whether it's pass rush or run defense, and he's been doing it at a super high level 3 years in a row. We're talking like a Hall of Fame style level with these grades for 3 straight years. And maybe there's something to them limiting him to give him all of these snaps. You know, the more impressive thing that I think of, Nick, is that he's still graded this high playing that many snaps. He has so many opportunities, get a ding here, a ding there for all the snaps that he plays. You know, you'd think he'd mess up every once in a while, but this guy, he's absolutely lights out all the time. That's the only way you're able to get a 91.5 PFF grade thus far in this season. It's absolutely incredible. It's like you said, McDaniels and co, they've been managing this team beautifully. I think things are going really well. We've done a lot of film reviews talking about this team, talking about young tight end Michael Mayer. He's looked really good. I just think all around the ball, this front office, this coaching staff has been managing these players very, very well, despite some people's thoughts on the team. I think this Raiders team is going to surprise some people come season's end because this team knows how to manage their players, and they feel like every single guy on this roster, they probably have an individualized plan that best suits their need, Nick.
Yeah, and I think this is one of those overlooked elements of Josh McDaniels. Of course, his play calling, his offensive structure has come into question a little bit, but I think the way he used Mayer against the New England Patriots is a great sign that the offense is heading in the right direction. But one of his strengths, and it comes from New England, right, is managing personnel and coming up with unique ways to manage people during the week and put them in positions to be successful on Sunday. And frankly, with a guy as good as Crosby, you just got to make sure he's on the field. And this is a Raiders defense that's been a lot better than people thought, right? If you go down the results here, gave up 16 points to the Broncos, good game, 38 to Buffalo. Buffalo's a good offense. We won't worry too much about that. 23 to Pittsburgh, that's not great, but since then, 24 to the Chargers. Chargers, really good offense led by Herbert in the last 2 weeks especially. carrying the team, 13 points against the Packers and 17 points against the Patriots. So this is a defense that's certainly above average, and with an offense that's predicated on running the football, getting Devontae Adams' opportunities, and finally getting Mayer involved, right around giving up 20 points a game or so, that's good enough to win. Right. And if you look at the Raiders' schedule the rest of the way, they've got Chicago, that hopefully they can win that one. Then you got the Lions, that'll be tough. But after that, you got New York, Miami, Kansas City, Minnesota, Los Angeles, Kansas City, Indianapolis, Denver. There's about 5 or 6 potential winnable games in there. Raiders fans, that gets you in playoff hunt, right? Obviously, the Chiefs games is tough. The Lions is tough. The Dolphins are tough. But outside of that, you got a lot of winnable games in there. And if you can win 1 or 2 of those games down the stretch, right? Maybe some of these teams are resting their guys or injuries happen or whatever. You guys have been on the wrong side of injury luck a lot this season so far, having to play 3 different quarterbacks already. Excuse me. So this is a team right now that understands that there is an opportunity for them to make a serious run at it. But the right way to go about it is not to overload your guys during the practice week. I think sitting Max Crosby, getting him on a pitch count during the week is the smart move to make. Let's give credit to where credit is due, right? Josh McDaniels and his coaching staff. Again, I know Raiders fans aren't going to like that, but doing things smart, at least in this case, will set them up for success for the rest of the season. Because it's one of those things, and I'll kind of end on this, Miles, I'm curious if you have any thoughts on top of it. It's one of those things, you don't want to adjust the practice schedule all the time during the course of the regular season. You don't want to have Crosby practicing a lot during the week and then to turn him off and then turn him back on later or something like that. That'll screw up his routine, his timing, his ability to get ready for game week. But if you start him off early in the season and say, hey, listen, we're going to watch you during the week in practice. We're not going to wear you out because you're going to get ready to play a lot on Sunday. That can build up his routine. That can get him in the rhythm to understand week to week. This is the strategy I'm going to take to make sure I'm ready to play a lot on Sundays. So again, smart move by giving him a pitch count during the week, but also a great decision by starting it early in the season before the games get extremely pivotal.
Yeah, Nick. And I think, like you said, proofs in the pudding, they've been doing a lot of stuff. Very smart coaching staff. I just think the ability that this guy has, the amount of snaps he's played, I was doing a little bit of digging just to see, Malcolm Kuntz, their other edge defender, this guy played like 135 snaps this season. Crosby, 376 snaps this season. Absolutely incredible. Like you said, I think there's a lot of games down the stretch that can win, that can like split with the Chiefs, get a couple other wins that they're probably not expecting to get here. I think, like you said, this team has a really good chance to get in the playoff hunt. And also something else you talked on, the usage of Mayer. I think that's going to help boost this offense a little bit as well. I think big things are coming for the Raiders down the stretch.